Hi, my name is Jake Getman, and this is Young Entertainment Mag. So the first question I've got here is, what has auditioning been like for me these days? And I've kind of get this a lot. Like, it's been very automated. Like you get your audition, you learn it, you record it, you send it in, and that just repeats itself over and over and over for every audition you get. It's been this way for 2 years. I don't hate it. I also don't love it. It's been an experience, and I like to think it's easier. And I like easy, of course. Who doesn't like easy? There's also something tangible about going into a room and saying hi to everybody, and seeing maybe people you haven't seen, and that's great. And I really enjoy what I do. My next question is, what has been my favorite role to play so far, and why? God, I mean, there's not one. I've worked so many jobs, like 9 years, and I've done endless amount of characters, but I'd say like the role I'm most proud of is probably, actually, it's kind of ironic, it's actually not a role you see me in. It's actually a voiceover. I did a voiceover for American Dad, and that is my favorite role like that I've done, and I just thought that was it was so much fun. But in terms of like on set and doing it, obviously sitting in a voiceover booth all day is not fun, but my most fun role to play would be Schooled. I did an episode of Schooled on ABC. It was a Star Wars episode. I was dressed as a TIE fighter on the first day. I had like little wings that were attached, and I had to hold them, and I was shaped like an egg. I think it was like a beanbag they cut out, something like that. And it turned out I was actually in the wrong outfit, and they ended up throwing me in Han Solo the next day. And luckily I stayed in that costume for the next few days. It was just such a blast, because the Sony lot where we filmed was just an amazing lot, such a great experience. I'd say that was probably the most fun I've had on a job. So what is one thing I have learned from a fellow cast member that I'll take with me on my next job, or like in general? I don't think it's like life lessons I've learned on set. I've learned a lot about like tips and tricks, over the years. Like, never really, something you should know, never ever eat set food. Like, if someone hands you like a burger on set that you're supposed to have in the scene, never eat it. Never eat it. It's been sitting there for like 6 hours. It's decaying. A million ants have probably crapped all over it. Don't eat it. So that's probably one of like the most important things I've learned. But I've also learned tons of other things, like little mottos, like early is on time is late, and late is fired. That was what I learned. What is the most challenging part of a role, and how did I overcome it? It's like weather is like the worst, because it was like heat of the moment. I did a Liberty Mutual commercial back in like mid-2020, and they had like the COVID tests were like going right to the brain, and it was like horrible. I had to take like 3 of them. It was like 98 degrees outside, and we were in a soundstage, luckily, but there was no air conditioning in the soundstage, at least during the takes there wasn't. And when they weren't doing the takes, there wasn't enough time to like get the place cool, and plus we had to wear like 3-inch thick prosthetics to make us look really old. And it was like they were literally glued to your face, and so you couldn't move your face. It was just horrible. Like, it was brutal, and like the weather was horrible. Like, we were sweating, we were like jumping, we had to do all these things, and it was like they barely gave us water during our takes, because we had to like get back up there. So they would sit us down, give us air conditioning for like a minute, let us drink our water, and then we had to go back up, do it all again, like 10 more times, and then do repeat. And we do that like 20 times. It was crazy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. What am I most looking forward to in this career path? I mean, there's so much. There's so much to look forward to. There's so much to think about, It's a long and winding road, to be honest. You start off not knowing what's gonna happen in the next 6 months, turns into like 9 years for me. And it's been a journey. There's been so many wins, losses, callbacks, and then hearing nothing, producer sessions and hearing nothing. There's so much, and you just gotta roll with the punches. It'll beat you down. Like, it's not fun, but when you get a role and you work on set and you see the finished product, it's like a level of fulfillment, How do I balance school and work, and is it hard? For me, it's not, because I'm homeschooled. It's super easy. I get my work, complete it. Occasionally they'll even have me do work before I get to set, and that just makes my life extra easy. So there's not particularly an extra level of stress or, hardship that's put on me when I have to, do school. It's pretty easy, and that's just my experience. What was it that made me want to be an actor? I think it was a variety of things. I think my mom's friend was an actor, and he was like, hey, you'd be really great with this. And I was like, so young, I didn't even understand what acting was. Like, I kept getting like, oh, you should be an actor. And I just kind of like, I guess like my mom heard that a lot. And so I guess we kind of like said, okay, screw it, we'll give it a try. And 9 years later, I'm still doing it. So I guess that's kind of how it started. Any funny moments that happen off camera or ever playing pranks? Funny moments, can't say I remember any. But pranks, yes, I've pulled one prank on like a few different sets and jobs. I learned it from Eric Roberts when I was 11. Essentially, it's where you take a clip, right, and you take some gaffing tape. The point of it is to have a really long piece of tape, like an obnoxious color, like hot pink, and you take this really long piece and you'd fold it, and it would be like 6 feet in length, and you would tape it to the clip, and you would try and find like a person to tape this to, or clip it to on their pants, on their back. So it would look like they're walking around with like a tail, like a pig tail. It's really funny, like if they're talking about something like really serious and they're like walking over to their coworker and it's like something really serious, like, oh man, like, the car is late, the rental company screwed up or something like that, and they walk away with like a pig tail. It's really funny. And it's pranks like that I like. What's one of my favorite lines from a script that I had to learn, and why is it my favorite? There's not a lot of lines that I remember, from an audition or from a script, but the funniest that I've remembered over these years is I think I never got the call back or even the job. I think it was a Disney show or something, and the kid, they're like talking to each other, and one of them's like, "What's wrong with you?" Like they did something wrong, and he's like, "Many things actually: poor vision, weak knees, I'm both two-handed. Not excuses, just cold hard facts." And I thought it was just so funny that whenever someone will ask me, like, what's wrong with you? Like I broke something or something. And they'll be like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, many things, actually. Poor vision, weak knees, I'm both two-handed. Have I ever taken anything from set? And what was it and why did I take it? Should I answer this? I mean, I guess there's like one or two things that I've taken. It's mainly like clothing. Like I've always liked something on set, and I'm worn. And I'm always like, hey, I'll take it, and it's nothing small. Like I'm not just taking like my whole wardrobe. It's usually just like socks or something. It's hard to find like comfortable socks for some reason. Like I'm always trying to find like a nice pair of socks. And if like a set has like a nice pair of socks, they'll magically disappear from the set. Stuff like that, or like food. I might take like an extra brownie from, the crafty table or something like that. One time I stole an entire roll of tape. No. What is a role I would play throughout time? There's so many movies I loved, and I've always wanted to be like a character in them. Probably like the movie Airplane. I loved that movie. I've seen it like 17 times. It's so much fun. It's just such a funny movie. It's just so bizarre, and that's what just makes it funny. It's like one of those examples of like a movie being so bad it's good. It's like that. I really love Airplane. I'd love to have if I was in that era, I'd love to have a role in it. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to Young Entertainment Mag.